This is the producer room powered by producer culture. And man, today I feel like I'm on some Soldier Boy energy because I think I'm the first journalist to interview
Ah,
a producer who's on the slopes. Man, my boy Mario Luciano, where you at, man?
what's up, bro? I'm over here at Snoqualmie Pass up in Washington.
Damn, crazy, crazy. So we're gonna get into some of these records that Mario landed recently, and yeah, and just talk a bit about his journey. So, man, I think it's you're at a fitting setting to kind of tell us where it all began. So, like, was this before the music?
The snowboarding definitely was before the music. This is like first love, first joy, passion, and all that.
Nah, that's crazy. So, can you tell me how like you went from snowboarding to the music? What made you leave the kind of the snowboarding stuff?
So I was snowboarding for a while and was just kind of like getting flowed stuff. Living in Mammoth for a while, and I would come home during the summers, and I was just doing. I started making beats as something as just like a side hobby until I went back to Mammoth in the winters, and so anyways, I would come home during the summers, and it was just music was something that I picked up as like a hobby, and it was just something for fun, and then eventually it kind of turned into me looking at like the risk versus the reward with snowboarding versus music, that like I wasn't going to make a career out of it where I'm getting paid crazy amounts of money. It's still something I love to do and all that, but music kind of took over more, where I was more intrigued and more interested in it.
So when you kind of made that realization, how did you progress from there when you realized you wanted to take music a bit more seriously?
Man, I think just like any other producer that falls in love with it, you're in your bedroom every single day, all day, not going outside, just like studying the craft, downloading sounds and drum kits and figuring out how to sample and how to piece it all together.
Mm. And how long was that process in terms of just developing your sound, practicing, before you ended up trying to reach out to people and trying to actually get into the industry?
Man, it was a while. Like I probably made beats for like 6, 7 years, and nothing really worked out for me with that. I was trying to send beats to people, to managers, to A&Rs, links that were online and stuff, like send beats to, and none of that was working. And I kind of just started making samples out of being like bored and frustrated with the beats thing not working, and it ended up actually being the thing that like changed my life totally.
No, that's crazy. So how did the samples start to gain some traction?
So I made like a bunch, maybe like 15, 20 samples, and I started to just send them around places to like submission emails, anywhere that I could find. And I sent them to Illmind's website or to his email, and he heard them and he really liked it. And that was kind of like the thing that set it off and sparked everything. He was always like just giving me hella love and props and like mentioning my name on Blap Chat. He had me on his podcast as well. Like any chance that he could, he was kind of like mentioning me. And so that kind of sparked attention to other producers too, like reaching out, like, yo, I heard about you through Illmind, send me a folder.
And then when would you say your first placement came?
My first placement was a Tinashe placement. And that was, I want to say in like 2018, maybe somewhere around then, 17, 18, 2018, actually. Yeah. And that was one that I did the drums for and I did the sample for it. Yeah, that was the first one.
Yeah, and it's crazy because that Tinashe tune is like I wouldn't say it like encapsulates your sound, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
It's kind of a different vibe. So when do you reckon you got that first record that felt like the Mario Luciano sound?
Man, I feel like it's the J. Cole record, honestly, out of
Mm.
all the stuff. Or actually even like another one that wasn't like crazy big, but still a fire track was on the deluxe of Conway, From a King to a God, Amina's band. That's like my sound too, just like soul vibes, jazz vibes, gospel vibes. Those are like my favorite types of stuff to make.
Man, and we've got to talk about it since you just brought it up. That J. Cole record, punching the clock off the last project,
Yep.
nominated for a Grammy. Um,
Yep.
man, tell us the story behind this.
So it's crazy. I got the project folder too, and it was labeled like J. Cole something. I forgot what the J. Cole before LA. Like I made the sample before I went to LA. And actually let me start at the very beginning. So I had a bunch of samples. My friend's mom, Nicole Eskridge, she came over to do vocals over just like the whole batch of samples that I had before I went out to LA. She came over. We did just a bunch of like oohs, ahs, nothing crazy, just filled in the space. And then I went out to LA, gave Matt the folder of all these samples, and then came back home, and it was like nothing happened really. Nothing transpired off of just that. And like that sample was made in probably like 2018. So
Mm.
I had it for quite a long time, or it was out there floating around for quite a long time before it got picked up. And then I met Tay Beast probably a year or so later in 2019, and I gave him that folder, or a folder that had that sample in it. He cooked up to it, made a beat, and then I want to say around the end of 2020, Matt hit up Tay and was like, "Yo, Cole's gonna be in LA for some time. If you got anything you want me to play him, send me some beats." And so Tay sent him, I want to say 3-4 beats. That was one of them, and that's the one that he ended up picking.
Damn, that's crazy. So, in terms of like the from what you were hearing, like when did you first get a sniff of, man, I might have this Cole record?
So it came in like different layers. So at first it was like, yo, Cole really liked this record, right? Matt told us that. And then, we didn't really think anything of it because you never know what guys end up keeping. They record to so many things. I didn't really get too attached to it. And then some time passed, I want to say maybe like a couple months, and they asked for stems. And
Mm.
Tay told me that, and I was like, damn, okay. There might be something, it's at least maybe in the running for the album. And then there started to be like all this like kind of talk about the off season kind of coming out. Cole was a lot more active on Instagram and like posting stuff, like riding through the city, just listening to the album, like shit like that, right? And Matt told us that it was gonna be on there for sure. And I didn't believe it. I was like, I was so like, I don't want to say taken back, but just like I didn't want to let it like, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Like I didn't want to get let down, basically get my hopes up, because there's been a lot of times where like records were really close to being on there, and then last minute they don't end up making the cut. So I was just like, you know what, just don't get your hopes up too much about it, ride it out, see how it goes. And it's getting closer and closer, and I swear I was asking Matt like probably every 2 weeks, like, bro, are you sure it's on there? He's like, yes, bro, it's on there 100%. And I'm like, this sample, it's not a confusion, it's not a mix up or nothing like that, it's this one. And he's like, yes, bro. And that's the last time I'm going to tell you, stop asking me, it's on there for sure. And so, yeah, I didn't ask him about it. I was still, and bro, this is crazy. Even when Cole dropped the artwork on Twitter and it had like all the producer names and everything on there, I don't have a Twitter, so I didn't even know. Like my phone just went from like 0 to 100 so fast, like literally 100 plus text in like 10 minutes. Like, bro, congrats, crazy, you're on the Cole album, this and that. And I'm even asking my friends, like, bro, how do you know for sure? How do you know? Like, no way. And they're like, yo, your name's on the album credits that Cole just dropped. And I was like, it was a relief for sure, but I was still just like that little slight bit of like not of like uncertainty. And then yeah, I stayed up obviously till like, when the album dropped that night, Thursday night. And yeah, rode around and listened to it like 40 times just over and over, and then gave the whole album a spin. But yeah, it was crazy. It was surreal, man. It's still crazy.
Man, that's fine. I really want you to break down that first listen. Like, where were you at? Like, how do you prepare yourself? Like, break that down for us.
Man, I just got in the car and just drove around. It wasn't anything crazy. And then
Mm.
like just hearing like the beginning of it, like Dame Lillard talking about everything that he was talking about just resonated so deep, right? About like all the work that you put in and like, just wanting a shot to get your stuff heard and like making it on the biggest platform with, my favorite artist ever is like huge, you know?
Mm.
It resonated, like all the hard work paid off.
That's fine. So, the sample you made, was it switched up much? Was it transposed? Was it flipped much from like how you sent it off?
Yeah, a little bit. I want to say Tay transposed it. He pitched it up a little bit, and then he took chops. Like
Mm.
that was an actual whole piece, like a 3 minute sample where there's like multiple parts in it, and he kind of took like, yeah, he took chops from it. And I like stuff like that, man. I love when producers like will take something and just fully make their own thing with it.
Yeah, that must have been, yeah. It also like makes it a fresh listen for you as well. Um,
Yeah, man, definitely, definitely, and like his drum selection, like the texture of his drums match the texture of the sample so well. So like, I think when it comes together like that, it's just the best outcome.
but yeah, and talking about the hard work that went into, obviously you just said that like 6 7 years you were just cooking without really seeing any outcome. Like how does it feel now that you're kind of getting the recognition and you've hit that major record?
Man, it's crazy rewarding. It's like it feels good to know that all that work wasn't put in for nothing. And
Mm.
that people are starting to take notice. And I think one of the most important things that like people should know too is that just because it doesn't work out one way doesn't mean that you can't pivot and figure out another way to still get it going. Like the beats thing didn't work for me. Okay, whatever, all good. And being able to transition into making samples and finding like what my role is and how I can fit in and contribute to something was like the best thing I could have done. Because I think some people would have either been like, okay, maybe it's just not for me. I'm not good enough, and get down on themselves and just like quit and stop. And they might have not tried something else where they could have really shined and got you know, got their shine on from.
No, that's facts. And I know you've got like a really beautiful story about how you celebrated that Cole record. Can you also like break that down for us as well?
Yeah, yep. So my best friend Kenny, man, he's a massive J. Cole fan. Yeah, he knew he was like more excited than I was. Like the guy called in at work and was like, "Yo, I'm sick. I can't come into work today." He was like celebrating the win with me because like that's my brother, that's my best friend. Like the guy literally helped me carry the organs and the pianos and the equipment upstairs to my studio. Like he really built the shit with me, and was there along for the whole ride. So it was like me winning the way I did was equally the same win to him. So he came, picked me up. We went to the champagne spot, got a bottle of Spade, and just popped it, bro. And yeah, celebrated.
But man, yeah, we really appreciate your time. This has been really cool. The first time
Thank you,
having
bro.
a producer on the slopes.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
but man, this has been the producer room powered by producer culture. Got the big goat Mario Luciano in the building, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
My G, my G. Peace.